Hey everyone, thanks for coming out to the stream. I think I have to reposition my green screen really quick. Give me a second. I realized part of my green screen was showing. Can't have that. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to the lesson. Yes, it is an advanced level lesson today, but don't worry. This is going to be a lot of things. First, it's going to be advanced. Second, I'm going to make it very easy to understand. So no matter your level, and I mean that, no matter your level, this is going to make sense. And the third thing is this is going to be very stupid because I'm not going to say you'll never see this form. It's used very occasionally. You will see it. You will see it, I'm sure. You yourself will not ever need to use this form yourself. You yourself will not need to use it yourself. You're never going to need it, but you might see it. So at least you'll be able to recognize it even if you never once have to use it. So yeah. But yeah, I'm going to make it really simple for you. But again, it is an advanced level lesson. So if you really want to follow along with the lesson and really understand all of the intricacies of the lesson, then I recommend that you know these 3 grammar points first. If you don't, though, don't worry. We're still going to get through the lesson together. But I have lessons on all of these. Of course I do. I have them in the description of this video for 뿐만 아니라, not only, 게다가, not only, and 뿐더러, which means, what did that mean? Oh yeah, it means not only. These 3 forms also can translate to not only is it, but also it's this. However, the way that they all do it is different. The rules for using them is different. And all 3 of these, though, are more common than the form we're doing today. Of these, 뿐만 아니라 is extremely common. 게다가 is also very common. 뿐더러 is not very common, but still, they're all better than this one. Yeah. CT says, cool, let's get stupid. Yeah, we're gonna get a little stupid today. Aniki, welcome. Hey, Korean Dream. I saw that you were live streaming earlier today. I almost crashed your live stream, but I had to get ready for this stuff, so I didn't want to go in and then leave. But yeah, I saw you were doing a stream before. Yeah, Dream says, I see this live as an advanced grammar pattern, which is, yes, often the case that it might not be frequently used. Yeah, Dream is an excellent teacher, definitely in my top 1,000 Korean teachers, for sure. No, yeah, check out her channel if you don't already. It's great. She's been in a few videos with me, so you can find her on my channel, or you can maybe find me on her channel as well. 오랜만이요, yeah. 오랜만이요, Sam. Welcome. Yeah, so we're going to be doing I don't call my lessons stupid very much, but we're going to do kind of a stupid lesson today, and we're going to learn about this form. Why are we learning about this form, though? If I'm saying myself that this form's kind of dumb, why are we learning about it? Well, there are 2 reasons. Actually, there are 3 reasons. The first reason is a member recommended it to me, and I do all of my member recommendations. For those of you who are considering joining this channel, I teach all of the topics my members recommend that I teach. The second reason is because you will sometimes find this form being used, especially in older speech, as we'll be covering in the lesson. And the third reason is because why not? You can't tell me what to do, Dad. You were out of my life since I was 16. You have no control. Okay. we could do this because why not? No one's there to tell us that we can't learn this kind of grammar form. So yeah, it'll be an interesting lesson today. And if you are beginner, you've learned the alphabet, you can put together a sentence, but you can barely say hello, I'm going to make this lesson accessible for you too. So you're still going to know by the end of this lesson, even if you can't introduce yourself, you're going to know what konniwa means and how to use it yourself. So yeah, be like, your Korean pen pal is going to be like, hey, what did you learn today? And be like, oh, well, I learned 3 words for different fruits. I learned how to say my name. And I learned the grammar form konniwa. And I understand all of them. That's what you can tell your friends after this lesson. So let's see here. Sherry says, so would we see this in some of the old folk tales we read in our reading group on plug your Discord server? No, it's really bad. You're not going to see this form. The places that you will see this form there are 2 places you'll see this form. I'm doing lots of numbers today, aren't I? One of the places you're going to see this form used is if you attend a church meeting in Korea and the speaker wants to quote something that sounds old. They're going to make a quote with this form in it. And 2, and this is actually the more common place that you're going to see this form, is when you Google konniwa grammar and find random posts that have examples of this. But be careful though, I'll say this, because konniwa is so rarely used that I won't call anyone out. I'm not going to put anyone on the spotlight, but I won't even say what it is, but I found a source out there that was giving wrong sentences with this form. Like, they didn't even make sense. The person who wrote the lesson clearly did not even know how to use it. But again, I'm not going to call out who they were or what that was, but yeah, it's really not, and it's really not a common form. So yeah, the good news is though that you can learn it very easily and just forget about it. But if you see it, you'll know. You'll be, oh yeah, Billy taught me. That's easy. So easy. Yeah, still have to know advanced level content if you're advanced level learner, even if you may not use it yourself. That's true. And there are a lot. Oh, there are so many advanced grammar forms that you will never see, but you should still know. I have read some Korean Bible verses before, and there are a lot of grammar forms that you do not need. But if you're doing that sort of content, you will need it, because otherwise, how can you read that, right? There are archaic forms for everything that we use today in Korean. So there is an archaic future tense form. You probably know it. Lida, or they have actually various archaic grammar forms, but there's an archaic one for future tense. There's an archaic form for past tense. In fact, the archaic form for past tense is still used today, the tall ending, but it would be used differently. They have an archaic version of everything we use today, an older version of it that they used to use when it used to be cool. Now it's not cool anymore. We don't use it anymore. But there are so many. There are countless grammar forms like this that you probably should know, even if you don't use it. So yeah, what that means is we've got plenty of content for more of these advanced lessons. Aniki says almost all verses end in la. Yeah, you're talking like urida, like harida, like that sort of thing. It shall be the future tense. The old versions, the old forms, those still survive today, but they've been transformed. Like, we actually use that form today in the 의리라고 믿는다, 의리라 믿는다. That's right. Yeah. I trust that it shall be. I trust that it's going to be this. And we still use that old form in that grammar form, even though we don't use the old form anymore. There's a lot of old grammar in Korean that we still use today, just a little bit transformed. So, not this form though. This is simply just an old form. Okay, I have an announcement to make, but I'm going to wait about 5 more minutes. People are still kind of piling in. Let's see. Anjali. Why is it twice? It's 3:13 in India. Go to bed. Please. This lesson will be recorded. You can watch it anytime. I don't want you to ruin your health for me for Korean, but, you know, do whatever you want. Don't let me tell you what to do. I always say that. Don't let me tell you what to do. Your Korean studies are your Korean studies. So if you are, a few announcements, just general announcements. You know, we have a, well, let me put it in the chat here. Where's that? Oh yeah, here we go. We have an active, open, free Discord channel with lots of people in it. Again, yeah, there's a book club that goes on, and you can join. Hang out with other people who are learning Korean just like yourself, and they sometimes chat even during these live streams. So if you join the general chat in the general channel, isn't usually too busy, but if you go into the individual channels, you'll see people are usually talking there. So yeah, check it out, ask Korean questions, get answers, and I'm in there as well. If you're a member on my Patreon channel or a member on this YouTube channel, you also get access to a special members channel. And if you are one of those people, you already know what I'm going to be announcing today. I told you like 2 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks ago, actually, almost. But yeah, definitely check that out. Also, if you are a member, you get access to perks on this channel. You get a little icon next to your name. You get a different color. You can see the members are green color. Aniki here is I think Aniki is my only member right now. Yeah, Aniki is the first member to come in for this chat. But we still have a little bit of time, so more people will come, I'm sure. Aniki says, I actually have a copy of the Bible in Korean. Well, okay. So, I happen to know about this, but there is no really copy of the Bible in Korean like we are familiar with it in English. They have various different religious sects, and each one of those groups has their own translation of it. And that's, you know, that's kind of the same in the US, although I think a lot of people in the US accept a certain version in general. But in Korea, it's the other way around. Depending on which religion you are a member of is going to dictate which version of the translated Bible you're going to have access to and the language that's used in it. So that's one thing also to keep in mind, is that there is no, like, let me find a Bible verse. It's like, okay, which one are you talking about? They're all quite different. So just be aware of that. And the one that I know that typically people use in the US, I think King James Version. Yeah, that one in Korea is considered to be like it's not popular. They kind of see it as like part of like an offshoot religion version of it. So yeah, your mileage may vary. I'm not an expert about this stuff though, but just so you know. Aniki says, Isuri da hame. Yeah, sure. That sort of stuff. Cute SJR says, I am crocheting and listening to you. Nice, crochet. What are you crocheting? Are you crocheting something to do with Korea or Korean? You don't have to, but just curious if you are. Okay, there is no live stream next Sunday. This is just a reminder. I do live streams now 2 weeks in a row and then 1 week off. So since we had a live stream last week, that was about Matsangazi, if you remember that, if you were there. This coming weekend, there will not be another live stream, but then the next weekend after that, we'll resume regular live streams. I'm actually really surprised that today we're teaching Konniwa because, okay, for the entirety of the time that I've been doing these live streams, since 2018, I've been doing these live streams now for almost 5.5 years. Almost never does a topic win if it's not the lowest difficulty that's in the options. So there will always be like some beginner topics and intermediate topics and maybe one advanced topic. And pretty much 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it'll be people will vote on the beginner topics and then the intermediate and then the advanced. But this time, all the times I had the vote for the last several live streams, it's always been the intermediate and advanced topics that have won first. And right now, the two original beginner topics are still sitting on the vote. They haven't been voted on. People wanted the intermediate and advanced topics more than the beginner topics this time. So that really surprised me. And yeah, I'm happy about that. I guess it just shows a shift in more and more people are learning Korean past the beginning levels, and they want more content that's kind of directed at them. So I could be wrong though. Hopegate, welcome. How are you doing today? Jess Bridges says, this will be so helpful at Korean Catholic Mass. I'm not sure. You be like, I learned Konniwa. They'll be like, okay, cool. That's good. Yeah, you can see it. Their Bible might have it. But yeah, just you have to check which version that they have. That's what I remember learning in Korea, was that they all have their own version. They're all special. Okay, we'll get started here really soon, but I do have an announcement to make. I'll make it again. Hold on, wait a minute, what's this? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Is this? No, it can't be. Is it? It is! It's the sequel to Korean Made Simple. But wait a minute. This is completely different than Korean Reading Made Simple. No, it's completely a different book. This is what? 10 fun and natural Korean folk tales? Folk tales? Who wants to learn those? Well, anyone interested in reading Korean should know about some classic Korean folktales, and what better way to learn about them than through Korean studying? Introducing, no, I'm not making this into a full ad, but I've just released in print. Actually, it's really just released. I don't even have a finished copy. The copy that I have has my my proof that says not for resale across it. But yeah, it is available in print. It's also available in ebook form. You can get it on your Kindle from Amazon. You can get it in PDF from my website. In fact, that's the only place to get it through for PDF from. And yeah, it has 10 interesting, I say that with an asterisk, Korean folk tales that I've hand-picked. And I was very careful to pick stories that I think are not only well known in Korean, but also like cool. So I picked some that are like interesting. As a result, some of these will be very well-known stories that you have already read, although rewritten, so it's not the same thing, but you already are familiar with if you've read other books for folk tales. However, there are going to be a few that I guarantee you've never even heard of before that I picked because they're just too cool not to put in. Like some of the stories in here, I was like, have you ever heard of the story 멸치의 꿈? So the anchovy's dream. It's like my favorite story in here, seriously. But yeah, I never really had heard of that before. I mean, at least not when I was learning Korean. This wasn't one of the folk tales I heard. So it has some folk tales you might have heard and some other ones you've definitely never heard. It also covers their origins and other information about it. 도깨비 방망이 is also a really famous one. But did you know that Korean 도깨비, so goblins in Korean, don't actually have horns and don't have sharp teeth? That's something I think most people don't know. In fact, maybe not most, but many Koreans also don't know this, but 도깨비 are not goblins in the sense that they have teeth or horns. They're just more of a mythical creatures that look like humans. So they pretty much are indistinguishable from a human. They're just big and a little bit hairy. So yeah, I have information like that as well in the book, but it's got 10 of my favorite folk tales along with, of course, literal translations. So it's for learners. Again, this isn't for just enjoying the stories as much as it is for enjoying them while learning Korean. So you'll find literal translations of things. Sometimes they're awkward on purpose to help you understand it better. Of course, vocabulary is defined, and then there are short little lessons for all the grammar forms so that you can at least follow along. Even if you're not familiar with those grammar forms, you can still read the explanation for it and be like, oh, okay, I get it, and then move on like that. But yeah, it's also fairly short. I'd say for 106 pages, you could probably make it through this whole thing in a few weeks, maybe a couple weeks if you're going really fast. But yeah, for all levels, but I would recommend you be a high beginner, at least, if you want to get the most out of it. But yeah, I've made it as accessible as possible. So check it out. Again, Korean Reading Made Simple too. That is the end of this advertisement, and I'll show it again at the end of the live stream. Let's see here. I love the color. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like the cover too. It's actually a new artist that I found. Switched artists for this time. My regular artist is awesome, but extremely busy nowadays. She works for, I can't remember what company she works for. She does like big stuff like Netflix shows and stuff. So she doesn't have time to do like cover illustrations and stuff like that anymore. But I was able to find another artist who I'm really happy with, that they have great communication and they did a great job. A Korean artist, of course. And they put like, you can't really see it in here, but there's like a little menu in the back of the restaurant, and it has little Korean writing all over it. So if you look really closely, you can read the menu, I think. But, and also the book titles are also Korean. They're little Korean stories. So yeah, turned out good. We've got just 5 more minutes before we start the live stream lesson. So if you have any questions you want to ask, now is the time. And then we'll get started with our advanced lesson. Lexica says, thanks for showing the layout. I was thinking of getting the Kindle version, but print looks better. You're not really losing anything if you get the ebook, because I didn't fill it with pictures. Now, I'm sorry if you are a 7-year-old and you want to learn. I'm sorry, I'm not dissing people who put pictures in their book, but I purposely left out pictures because I wanted it to have more space, so that way I don't have to make this like a 300-page book. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing if you get the ebook, but the advantage of the print book is just that you can write in it, I guess, and you can kind of like flip the pages. I don't know. I like books over ebooks personally. I find that it's easier for me to focus when I can kind of like move it around and look at it and follow it on the page. But some people are the other way. They prefer the ebook version, but you're not losing any information if you get either one. But yeah, show you a little closer. I'm not sure. You can't really see it too well because I know it's not focused on here, but you get like the dialogue and then the translation, and then you get little explanations, and then there will be vocabulary that was used. And then sometimes I'll also define the vocabulary a little bit further when it's something that doesn't really translate easily into English. Then I might give an example or talk about how it works. Yeah, I'd highly recommend though the 멸치의 꿈, so the anchovy's dream. That's my favorite. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much everything I wanted to say about it for right now. Do you have a video on syllables? Hopegate asks, do you have a video on syllables that are often dropped in grammar structures? So that sort of thing should be taught when the grammar is taught itself. Like when we explain the sol form, maybe not for the beginner lesson, but if we give a full lesson on it, that should be explained as well. Just randomly, that question you're asking actually is explained, I believe, in this book. There is a note that it is used, but you can actually drop it. So that would just have to be in the individual forms. I don't know of a separate source, though, that teaches them. So no would be the answer. I don't know if there's any other source that teaches just grammar forms that have optional components in them. But yeah, there are a lot of things like that. Lots of grammar forms can be shortened or cut up into pieces. And the grammar form we're going to be learning today, though, does not. But there are actually 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grammar forms that we're going to be covering in this lesson. It's a simple lesson, but there are several other grammar forms that it's confused with or that are related to it that we also have to cover. B says, it's my first time joining a live stream. Welcome, B. 잘 부탁드려요. Oh, 드려용. I see you've written, yes. Ria says, too advanced? No. So you might have missed my intro, but this lesson is stupid. You will know how to use this form regardless of your Korean level. Like, even if you literally just know the alphabet and like a couple grammar forms, like you know how to say like this and that or something, like, you know, the real basics, you're still going to be able to follow along this lesson. You might just not know what any of the sentences mean, but the grammar form will make sense to you. So yeah, trust me, this is a quote unquote kind of dumb grammar form, but we're going to still be going over it in detail, and you will probably see it once or twice. Okay. Let's see. Someone says they haven't learned the prerequisites yet. These prerequisites are if you want to really follow along with the lesson, like 100%. Because these forms also can all translate as not only. And the lesson and the form we're going to be learning today as well can also translate as not only. But, you know, they're all a bit different. So you want to know these so that way you don't ask me how it's different from these, because they're not different. I mean, they are different. They are not the same, is what I meant to say. They're not the same, but in order to teach how they're different, I would simply just reteach all three, but I've already taught all three. So check out the description for those, how they're different. They all work differently, completely different. So we're not going to be talking about how is it different from this form, because it's not the same at all. It's a different form. Yeah, it just can translate the same, but it works completely differently. It has a completely different nuance. So you can watch these in the video description. I have links. Otherwise, if you don't need to know these and you're okay not knowing how it's different from them, you don't need any of the prerequisites for today. CT says, are there pre-order perks for the book? Yes, you get to order it before everyone else. That's the pre-order. Although members actually, in the Discord, I posted it like a week or so ago. Members already have had access to it for over a week, but for everyone else, it's just released. It's not a pre-order though. It's literally just an order. It already came out. But the perk is you get to support me, because if I get lots of sales, I can make more books like that. It's always kind of an experiment when I make a new book that's different from my others, because I don't know if it's going to sell. And it takes a long time to put these together. I've been working on this book. I've been planning this book for a long time, but I've been actually writing it daily since the beginning of December. And yeah, and then before that, you know, planning it, trying to decide if it's really what I want to do. So yeah, takes a lot of time. So if you support me, it helps me to make more content. And I have another project coming up as well, but I'm not going to announce that until it gets sooner. But if you are a member in my channel or a Patreon, then make sure to check out the Discord channel and you can get updates about how that's going. Okay, Flight Deck Magazine says, I just ordered at Amazon. Oh, thank you. Hope you like it. Hopefully you get it soon. You don't have to wait too long. I think this took 4 days to come when I ordered it. But again, I haven't even gotten the actual printed version. I just have my not for resale editing copy here, where I print it out before I actually sell the book. I print it out and I check over everything by hand, because it doesn't matter how many times you check it over on a screen until you actually print it. You have to print it and then check to make sure, you know, to fix little typos, or like, oh, I forgot to put a period here or something like that, or there's an extra space. These types of things, they really bother me. So make sure to fix up all of those before I finished it. And yeah, now it is done. Parastu says, 빌리 라이브는 재밌어요. Thank you. Okay, we should get started with the lesson. It's now past 2 o'clock. So this is an advanced grammar form. Specifically, it's a very archaic grammar form, as in literally nobody uses it, but you may find it in older speech. So this isn't so much a written form or a formal form that you'll find in ancient text, but instead is a older spoken form. And the way that it works is when you use this, you take a verb stem. So hada, to do, for example, is ha. You attach konniwa, and you are done. Give yourself a pat on the back. You have now conjugated this extremely advanced grammar form. What it means is that you are agreeing with what comes before it. So you're saying, yes, this part of the sentence is true. I agree. And you're adding extra information to it. So you're saying, yes, this is true. I agree. And also, what else comes after this form? Whatever else comes after it. So if you say hada, to do, koniwa, and then say something else, you're saying, yes, it does. I agree. And also, however you finish the sentence. So, yes, this is true. And also what comes after. Note that both the beginning of this form, I really messed this up here by writing on it. Note that whatever comes before koniwa and after would therefore both need to be either something negative, like, oh, it's not that, I agree, and also it's not that. Or both of them can be positive. It is that, and also it is that. You don't want to mix that up. You don't want to say, it is that, I agree, but it's not that. So this isn't a but form. It's an and form. No buts here. Something and something. Wait a second. Billy, this is an advanced form. Did you just say it means and? I can hear the 1 week beginner with their notebook, like shuffling pages. They're like, wait, I learned this form, Billy. How is this form different than this form that I learned just yesterday that means and? It's the same thing. It's the same freaking thing. You can just swap koniwa with cool. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to the live stream. Have a great day. Good luck with your Korean studies. This form is so advanced. Can you follow along? Can you comprehend how complicated this form is? So, to help with understanding, just swap it with the cool form. And it's literally the same thing in every single situation. And I mean that, every situation. Where you would take a verb stem and add cool to mean and then continue the sentence, you can swap it with koniwa. Because that's literally all it does. Yes, this, and also this. Well, this, and also this. Okay, so. We're not done, though. Uh-oh. What's this now? A completely different form. There's no way this one's gonna be simple. What is this one? Okay, there's another form you might see that looks really different. You take a verb stem and you attach ryoniwa after a consonant. So like 먹다, to eat, would become ryoniwa, or ryoniwa after a vowel. So hada would be haryoniwa. Well, wait, what's the difference then with hagoniwa and haryoniwa? Well, first, let's talk about this in depth, okay? So this form is a little bit different. It has two uses. This form can be used to assume something, to make a guess about something, or it can also be used to say the speaker's intentions. So let me give you an example. Actually, I'll write ryoniwa because you don't know. So one of the uses of this form is to make a guess or an assumption about something. So you say, yes, not that I agree with it, but I assume, yeah, I think so. I'm guessing that it is. And also B, and. So it seems to be the same here, but it's a little bit different, right? Now you're making an assumption or a guess about something. Okay, so this form is completely different than koniwa, right? Well, let's go on then. Another usage of this form, so I said it has two. The second usage is that you can say not that you're guessing or making an assumption about something, but that you're going to do something. Yes. Or you're saying the speaker's intention, something that they're going to do. So if you said let's make that an action verb. Something uryoni wa be. Well, you're saying I'm going to do something, this, and also be. So wait, it's still an also form. Huh. Well, there actually is another form that I know that can mean both of these things in Korean, in modern Korean. And if you've been learning Korean for at least a month, you may have seen this form before. This is one of the future tense forms. You might have seen it with like 하겠습니다. 잘 먹겠습니다. When you start eating. 잘 먹겠습니다. 겠다. Well, this form has two main usages. The first one is to make a guess or an assumption about something. And the second usage is to say something that will happen, like you will do something, like 제가 하겠습니다. I will do it. So, wait a minute. If ryoniwa means those two things and 겠다 means those two things, then we could just stick that and meaning to the end and we get something that looks like this. 겠거니와. Like 하다 would become 하겠거니와. Sorry. 하다 would become 하겠거니와. Or 먹다, to eat, would become 먹겠거니와. Then shouldn't these two then be the exact same thing? 하려니와 or 하겠거니와? Yes! These are the exact same thing. The only reason that this form exists, uryoniwa, is just to be this form, but cooler, because it looks different. It's unique. It's not the same as the other girls. This form is basically just this. So if you see uryoniwa, it's the same thing as just using 겠거니와, which is the future tense, right? But this can have those two meanings. 겠다 can be used to mean something that you're assuming something. You're making a guess about something, like it would. Or it could. You're making a guess. You don't know. You're just assuming. It would or it could. That's what the get form, that's what the ket form is used for. And then 거니와, as we learned, is the same thing as cool. So, if you want to use something that's with the ket form, normally in Korean, this looks ugly now. It looks like the movie The Ring where the boy's like drawing the well a bunch of times. Yeah. ket거니와, you can either use it like this or you can use it like this, and it has the same meaning. So, you can just swap. So if you ever want to use ket with this form, you can either use it as ket or you can swap it, the entire thing, to this form. So these forms are the same meaning. Okay. So to help you with understanding, you can just replace this with the future tense or replace it with the ket and 겠다 ending. Sorry, 겠다. So it's the 겠다 ending pretty much. But I'm giving a little extra explanation because there might be some people who don't know the 겠다 form is used in those two usages. You might have only learned it as the future tense, which is fine. That's usually the easiest way to use it. But it also is used to mean could or would. Like that could be a good idea, or that would be a good idea, or something like that. Could or would when you're making a guess or an assumption. Okay. Are you okay so far in understanding? So 거니와 is basically just 고. uryoniwa is basically just 겠고. Right? Are you okay? I'm going to take a quick 30-second break, read the chat, and see how everyone's doing. Xandria says, this is day one where he starts out as a good guy, then realizes something fundamentally wrong about society, and now plots mass revenge on the world as a whole. One of those tragic villain stories. Yes. Okay, Hopefully this isn't too difficult for you so far, but yeah, just think of it as ketgo. Like it will be, or it would be, or someone will do something, and like that. So that's all it is. You can swap them back and forth, and you get the same meaning. We're not done though. I'll give you some example sentences. Don't worry. We're just going over how it works because I need to connect everything together. It's all one big conspiracy. I need to connect it together before I can give you the example sentences. So we have one more form we have to learn for this. I'm sorry, one more. So I just talked about how ryoniwa is the same thing as ketgoniwa. Well, when you use a noun, you're gonna attach ida at the end, right? You want to say something is a noun. So something is a noun, koniwa, and the same usage we had before with koniwa, right? Just now the verb is ida instead of hada or something else. But when you're using this form with a noun, you have two options. Therefore, you can either use it with koniwa, something is and, which is essentially the exact same thing as iku, right? Okay. So noun koniwa is the same as noun igo, like it is, and. But then you have a second option because ryoniwa can also mean the same thing. Iryoniwa with noun is the same thing too. So you can use noun with iryoniwa or noun with igoniwa depending on what color you feel like that day, depending on the weather, depending on what side of the bed you wake up on or what kind of shoes you wear. Pick whichever one suits your fancy. I don't care. They have the same meaning. They both mean this. Now, it's iryoniwa after a consonant or ryoniwa after a vowel. And the same goes for this. Igoniwa after a consonant and koniwa after a vowel. Same thing. All of these forms, as soon as you see this niwa, you know it's just going to be the go form. You know it just means and. Okay, that is literally everything you need to know about how this form works. I do have a few more grammar forms we're going to talk about, though, that are related because you may actually be an advanced learner today, and you might be thinking, Billy, I have seen another form, and it is not koniwa, it is just koni. What is that? Well, we're going to be talking about koni in a little bit toward the end of the lesson. But before that, I have several example sentences that we need to go over. So let's look at some example sentences. I want you to make this example sentence, but I'm going to give you the beginning part. Oh, there's not enough space there. Okay, let's write it down here. Okay, 성공하려면. 하려면 is just a shortened version of, well, whenever you see 려면, it's just a shortened version of this. I know this isn't the lesson today, but I'm just going to tell you anyway. 으려고 하면. So if you are intending to. 으려고 하다 is like going to do something or intending to do something. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm planning on it. I'm intending to do it. 으려고 하면. So if you are going to do something. So if you are going to, or if you're planning on, if you wanna, 성공하다, to succeed, to be successful. So if you want to be successful, 능력 is going to be a skill or an ability. So what we're going to say in this sentence, I want you to finish this sentence. In order to be successful, not only does your skill have to be good. I'm actually just going to write the verb. I'm not going to conjugate this. 좋다, to be good. You have to conjugate it. It's going to be really hard, remember? We've just gone over this form. Hopefully you can do it, but not only do you need to have good ability, that's how you would say to be skilled, to be good at it. 능력이 좋다, good at something, skilled. Not only do you have to be skilled in order to succeed, or if you want to be successful, but also you have to be lucky. And the way to say lucky is literally you say someone's luck. 운 is luck. Luck is 좋다, good. So not only do you need 좋다 for your 능력, but also your 운, 좋다. So I'll give you another hint. You're probably going to want to use 운 with 도, even lucky, to say you also have to be lucky. But if you're trying to be successful, not only do you have to be skilled, not only do you have to have good ability, but also you need to be lucky. You have to be lucky. So try to make that sentence. And if you get it wrong, it's okay, because this is an advanced form. You're literally never going to ever use it, but you might see it. So that's why we're doing it today. Hope Gates says, I want to use these with my tutor just to surprise her with an archaic form. Do it and tell me how it goes. Okay, no rush. This is not a contest. Let's see. Aniki is our first member to give a sentence. 성공하려면 능력이 좋거니와. Oh, okay. So I need to be clear. Not only do you have to be skilled, you have to have good 능력. Not only do you have it, but you have to have good 능력. So you're going to need to use the have to form. I didn't make that clearer that you're going to need to use a have to form. So what is a have to form? Well, you conjugate the verb here, 좋다, and then you add 야, and then 하다 or 되다. So like I have to go, 가다. 가 conjugated is just 가. 가야 해요. 하다. 가야 해요. 가야 or 되다. 가야 돼요. I have to go. I need to go, like that. So, okay, I'll let you give it another try. If you don't have a have to form, I'm just going to skip it. Okay, go ahead and give it a try. But if you get it wrong, don't worry. I'm just going to give you a correction just like that and put you right back on the path. The path of righteousness. Oh. Really sour. Okay. Go ahead and give it a try. So if you are intending to be, if you're going to be successful, we already have that. You need to be good, skilled, good abilities. And not only do you need to be good, skilled, but you also have to have, or literally, you have to also be good luck. I apologize if this is a bit, hard. The advanced sentences can be really hard to translate because going from English to Korean, there are so many ways you could express it. So I'm trying to give you as much as I can to kind of at least guide you in a right direction. So let's see. Hopegate, you're so close. You need to have a need to form. You need to have a need to form on both 좋다 here and 좋다 at the end. That's another hint. So you need to not only have good ability, but you also need to have good luck. Okay, let's see. Aniki is trying again. Yes! Yes! 성공하려면 능력이 좋아야 하거니와 운도 좋아야죠. Perfect, Aniki. I mean, there are other ways you could say it as well, but yes. Yes, let me check some of the others to see if anyone else got it. And again, if you didn't get it perfect, don't worry. It's because it's difficult to give an English translation and then pull that into Korean. I know it's hard this way. That's why I'm trying to give you as many hints as possible. So don't worry about it. If you see the final sentence and it makes sense, you're good. You've got it. 좋아야 하거니와 운도 okay, nice. Meme police. Nice name. Let's see who else we can look at. Okay. Let's wait another 10 seconds and I'm going to write the answer. Well, a answer. Go ahead and keep trying it. Again, there are a lot of ways you could have written this. Let's see. 좋아야 하거니와 운도 좋아해요. Nice, perfect. Hopegate. Here is one way you could say it. 성공하려면. So, 하려고 하면, if you are intending to succeed, if you want to be successful, well, 능력 is an ability. So here a skill. 능력이 좋아야 하다. Your skill must be good. You must have skill. You must be skilled. So you must be skilled in order to be successful. And 하겠거니와. So you would need to be if you are trying to be successful. So you can use 겠거니와 just the same way you would use the ket form to say would or could. And 거니와 운 is luck. 운도 좋다. Even lucky. 운도 좋아야 해. You must even be lucky. So let's do a natural translation of this. Not only would you need to be skilled in order to be successful, but you also have to be lucky. 성공하려면 능력이 좋아야 하겠거니와 운도 좋아야 해. 성공하려면 능력이 좋아야 하겠거니와 운도 좋아야 해. So not only do you need to be skilled, but you also have to be lucky in order to be successful. Literally, if you're intending to be successful. Okay. Let's do one more sentence. Let's see. Is this one? Okay. I'm not going to give you anything for this for right now. Not only does Younghee, so we have Younghee and Younghee in the sentence, not Charsu. So, not only does Younghee eat spicy food well, I wrote that. That's like falling over. Not only does Younghee eat spicy food well, but she also eats hot food. 뜨겁다. So we have 맵다 for spicy and 뜨겁다 for hot. So not only does Younghee eat spicy food well, but she also eats hot food well. I'm not giving you anything for the sentence. I'm just giving you a couple words. Not only does Younghee eat spicy food well, but she also eats hot food well. I will say this, don't overthink this sentence. So what you're saying, again, 거니와 means and. Literally is just cool. So how would you make this sentence using cool? Younghee eats spicy food well and she eats hot food well too. Right? That's what you'd say. And you can even make it simpler. Younghee eats spicy food and she eats hot food. Like Younghee eats spicy food and hot food too. Like you can say it a bunch of different ways and you're going to be correct. But it's going to sound all fancy because you're using 거니와, right? Okay. 영희 매운 음식 잘 먹거니와 뜨거운 음식도 잘 먹거든요. Oh, perfect. That is wonderful, Aniki. That is such a good sentence. Let's see. Did anyone else already get it? Oh yeah. Small typo, Moonchild. My little Moonchild. There's a small typo, but yes, your sentence is good. Bay. Yes, your sentence is great. Meme police. Yes, your sentence is great. Squeak. I can't read your name. That has a Q and an X and an 8 in it. Yes, your sentence is good too. And then Hopegate. Yeah, 매운 음식. Not the subject marker, but a different marker you're going to want to use. And I'll give you credit as soon as you swap it. But yes, you just want to change the marker you used after 음식. And then yes, your sentence is going to be perfect. See, Ayakata. You're not using the form, so I can't check. Let's see. Anyone else have sentences? Oh, CT. CT said just order the new book. Woohoo! Thank you. Yay! Yeah, it's my newest book. I think this makes 6, 7, 8, 9. This makes 9 books that I've written. 8 that I published myself. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I like it. I had fun working on it. The stories are cute. One of the stories made me want to cry. You'll know which one I'm talking about. You'll immediately know which one I'm talking about when you read it. You'll be like, oh, Billy was talking about this one. Yeah, I agree. Yes, 음식을 perfect. Hopegate. Yes. Just make sure you know why you would want to use the object marker there and not the subject marker. Since the subject marker would mean that you're describing the food directly, like the food is spicy or is hot or something like that. And then the object marker is something happening to the food. So any sort of action verb doing something to the food, in this case, eating the food. Okay, so this sentence, if you didn't get it, don't worry. We're going to make it make sense. We're going to make everything make sense. I'm not even looking at my paper. This is so... What's the ending did I choose? Okay, 먹는다. It is 먹는다. Okay. Okay, let's check. Did I write this the same way I wrote it before? Yes. Okay. 영희는, so 영희, 매운 음식, spicy food, 잘 먹다, to eat spicy food well, literally to 잘 do something can also mean to do something without any difficulties, like no problem. That sort of well. Good at it. So good at eating it. What was that intonation? Good at eating it. So she's good at eating spicy food. 먹거니와 먹고. And not only is she good at eating spicy food, but also 뜨거운 음식, hot, temperature-wise, hot food. Also, 잘 먹는다 is good at eating hot food. So not only does Youngie eat spicy food well, she also eats hot food well too. Again, 먹고. 영희는 매운 음식을 잘 먹거니와 뜨거운 음식도 잘 먹는다. 영희는 매운 음식을 잘 먹고 뜨거운 음식도 잘 먹는다. Literally the exact same thing. Okay, next sentence. This sentence, it would be very difficult for me to give you the English and have you swap it over to Korean. So I'm going to give you most of the sentence and I just want you to fill in one word. I have to look at my paper. I don't know how to spell this mountain. I already spelled it wrong. There we go. Did I get that right? Yes. Okay. Inwangsan is a mountain in Korea. I think it's... I want to... It's probably in Gangwon. All the mountains are in Gangwon though. Okay. 인왕산 거리도... I want you to say the... So 거리 means the... 거리 means the distance. How far it is. So you're going to say not only is the distance close, like it's close to here, 거리. So I want you to use the verb 가깝다, to be close. I know this is a little bit simple. You're thinking, I literally just have to attach this form we're learning onto this verb. Yes, but you know, it's better than nothing, right? right? 가깝다. So not only is it close, but also 높지 않아서 it's not high. So 가볍게 등산하기 좋아요. So it's perfect for just kind of taking a nice hike. You know, it's not that high. It's also close, so it's good for a nice hike. So I want you to do this. Yes, Aniki. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Twigzor says, where can I get the book? It's on either Amazon or KoreanMadeSimple.com, which is the exact same as going to my website and clicking on the store button. So either my website, GoBillyKorean.com, or Amazon. Although if you search Korean Reading Made Simple, I'm sure somebody's selling a version of it already that's pirated and takes all the money. So that's a third option you have. Please don't do that. Okay. 거리도 가깝거니와 높지 않아서 가볍게 등산하기 좋아요. Perfect. Hopegate, going above and beyond the assignment. I did not say write the whole sentence, but you just felt like you did. 거리 가깝거니와 nice B. Moonchild, nice. Ayakata, you have the wrong conjugation for it, but I recommend rewatching this live stream once it's done. Let's see. Okay. Any other attempts? Although I know it's a little bit simple, but still, it's still practice. If you want to really practice though, just write the whole thing. Practice copying the whole thing and write it and then say it out loud, and then it'll feel like. Okay. Here, I didn't have very much space. 인왕산은 거리도 가깝거니와. So, 거리도 가깝고. 거리 is distance, 가깝다 is close, so the distance is close. So not only is the distance of 인왕산 close, so not only is it close, but also 높다, high. 높지 않아서, it's not high. Therefore, 않아서, because it's not high, 가볍게, lightly, as in not difficultly, not with too much trouble, just kind of casually, 가볍게, casually. 등산하다 is hiking or climbing something. So going up a mountain, climbing. 좋아요. So it's good for just a casual hike because it's close and, or I should say, because not only is it close, but it's also not high. So Inwang Mountain is good for a light climb. It's good for a casual hike because not only is it close, but also it's not tall. You could have also said again, 거리도 가깝고 높지 않아서 가볍게 등산하기 좋아요. And you'd have a perfect sentence as well. So anytime you see 거니와 or 려니와 or like anything like that or any of its friends, it's just the cool form in hiding, trying to look fancy. It's like three children in a trench coat trying to get into a movie that they could have bought tickets to themselves because it's G. That's what 거니와 is. Like, don't feel intimidated when you see it. You can all do this form with no difficulty, I promise. Although the sentence, you still need to be advanced for that. But ignore that. Just look at the form. It's easy. Okay. The next sentence, I want you to do it again, but it's going to be a little bit longer, but you're going to help me with it. Okay, I think that's okay. So, 손님 is a guest. So if you're going to call, or here, 부르다 is to call, but it could also mean to invite someone over. Like literally, you're calling them to come over. So if you're going to invite a guest, not only will I have to clean. I'm going to give you the verb you're going to want to use. 청소하다 is to do cleaning. It's not to clean something, but it's to do cleaning in general. 청소하다 can also mean to vacuum. But not only will I have to do cleaning, but I also 음식 준비도 해야 돼. I also have to prepare food. So if I'm going to invite a guest over, not only do I have to clean, not only will I have to do cleaning, however you want to say it. So that's what we want to do for the sentence. So go ahead and give it a try. Yes, Hope Gate. Oh, I see Hope Gate's sentence there, still up. Okay, let's see. Check a couple others. Paris 2, yes. Soviet Wizard, yes. Windows 11 doesn't make it easy to switch. Should be. It's just Alt and left Shift. Left Alt, left Shift. Do that and it'll switch to the keyboard. I use it all the time. I also have Windows 11. Until like a few months ago, I was using at the same time Windows 8.1 on my desktop, Windows 10 on my editing PC, and then Windows 11 on my laptop. But now the Windows 8.1, I upgraded it because Steam won't work on it anymore, I think, from later this year. So I had to upgrade that to Windows 10. Yeah. But I don't miss Windows 8. Okay, let's see. Aniki. 손님을 부르려면 청소해야 되거니와 음식 준비도 해야 돼. Perfect. Hope Gate. 청소하려니. Oh, okay. So you want to say I have to, Hope Gate. Not only do I have to clean, not only do I clean, but it's not only do I clean, but I have to clean. So you want to add in a have to form, and then your sentence will be perfect. SQ8MXT says, I'm on Linux. Well, I use Arch, by the way. But it just works? Yeah, that's not quite fair because, most people can't do that. It's not... it's not as user-friendly as Windows is, I'd say, for most people. Some of the distros, I guess, are kind of, but yeah. Most people don't have it. Most people are on Windows or Mac. I don't know how to change it on Mac. I'm sure it's pretty simple. On Windows, it's easy to change, but it also gets messed up all the time. But yeah, it should be left Alt, left Shift to change the keyboards. And in fact, I deleted the English keyboard on mine because it kept coming back. It kept like switching to English by default. It still will mess up. I kind of have it in my motor memory to just click those two buttons to switch it every time I turn on my computer. Mint. Okay. 손님을 부르려면 청소해야 하려니와 음식 준비도 해야 돼. Perfect. They still have Macs? I think so. Right? The iMac? Don't they have they still have the iMac? Yeah. They have that new Vision Pro coming out next month. I've always wanted a 10-pound computer resting right on my eyeballs. I'm sure that's going to be super comfortable, but we'll have to see when it's released. I, for one, congratulate them on their innovation. Truly brave, but we'll see. Maybe if it's successful, they'll release a version 2 without the headphone jack. Let's see here. 손님을, let me check a few other sentences. 청소해야 하고, Paris stew, not 해거니와, but 하다. Remember, it attaches to the verb stem, which is just 하다, not the conjugated verb 해. So 하거니와. Let's see, who else? B, 청소해야 하려니와. Okay, yeah, you could do that too if you want. That's fine. Good. Let's see who else. Ilana Smalls has 하겠거니와. Nice. Very good. SQ8MXT has 해야 하거니와. Yes. Let's see. It's so expensive though. Yeah, it's a book. If you want a cheaper one, get the ebook. I made it priced like, I don't know what to say about the price. I literally have kept my pricing model the same despite everything else around me going up. You can still get my book, the first one too, for $10. I think it's fair. I could have easily said like, it's 2023, it's $30, but I'm like, no. It's 10. So it's $10. My Korean Made Simple is still ebook form, still $15. I think it's less on Kindle. I think it might be like $10 on Kindle or something. Yeah. So I think it's very affordable. It's as cheap as I can make it. if I make it cheaper than that, I wouldn't be able to recoup the print. I wouldn't be able to recoup the prints. The prints. What am I saying? The printing cost. Well, I just dropped my caffeine drink. Maybe that's the problem. Is this caffeine drink? I've been drinking too much of it. Yeah. So I priced it as low as I possibly can. It's so sour. Gosh. Okay. Oh, the Vision Pro. Okay, I thought you were talking about the book, but you gave me a good opportunity to advertise my book anyway, so all is forgiven. Yeah, Vision Pro is like $3,000, right? I mean, I could buy like 3 Windows laptops and duct tape them together and carry them around on my head, and it probably has the same computing power and maybe less weight. So I don't know why people don't just do that. But we'll see. I mean, it hasn't come out yet. So we don't really know anything about it except for the negative early reviews. But, you know, we'll see when it actually comes out. Apple's never made a mistake before. I'm sure they'll do fine. Okay. 손님을 부르려면, so if you're going to invite guests over, 손님을 부르려고 하면, if you're going to invite a guest, or call a guest literally, 청소 is doing cleaning, like cleaning the house, dusting, vacuuming, all that is 청소. 청소를 해야 하다, you have to do cleaning, or I have to clean. 해야 겠거니와 is the same as 하겠거니와. So 해야 하다, have to. 해야 하겠거니와, 해야겠거니와 음식 준비도 해야 돼. So I also have to 해야 돼. 음식 준비, preparing food. 음식 준비도 해야 돼. So if I'm going to call a guest, if I'm going to invite guests over, not only would I get konniwa, not that I have to, but I would have to if I was going to invite guests over. Not only would I have to do cleaning, but I also would have to prepare food. 손님을 부르려면 청소를 해야겠거니와 음식 준비도 해야 돼. So not only would I have to clean if I'm going to invite over guests, but I also have to prepare food. Again, in this sentence too, you could just swap konniwa with ko. So not only would I have to clean, instead of just saying that, you say, I will have to clean and I will also have to prepare food. And you have the exact same meaning, but now it's a beginner level or maybe intermediate level sentence, depending on how you look at it. Okay, one more sentence for this form, and then I have a couple other small little forms to give you so that you really get the full lesson. This is everything. Nobody can say, Billy, you didn't teach this one form in the konniwa lesson that I really wanted to know. You can't say that. It's going to have everything in it. Oh yeah, this one I'm just going to give you because it's too hard. This one's actually an advanced sentence. So let's, for anyone who's saying they want a real advanced sentence, look at the very first word, 수소차. 수소 is hydrogen. So hydrogen car. 인지도도 I always run out of space at the end of the sentence. Okay. Look at this for a second. Let me just verify before I... Funny thing is they didn't even have the word hydrogen car in the dictionary. They only have the full version. But the shorter one is this one. The shorter version of it, 수소차. But it normally is a longer word if you search neighbor. So you won't find this word in the dictionary. Okay. 수소차는, so hydrogen cars, 인지도. 인지도 is the word. 도 is just the particle, even or also. So 인지도 would be the level of awareness. How much people are aware of something. 인지도도 낮다, to be low. So there's a low amount of awareness out there for hydrogen cars. 낮으려니와, so 낮고, it's low, and, or not only is the awareness of hydrogen cars low, but also, that's what we got. 수요 is demand. 수요 is a regular word. Go ahead and learn it. 수요도 낮다. So the demand is also low. So 낮을 거예요. The demand would also be, or will also be, low. So the demand for hydrogen cars is low. I didn't have the English translation for this on paper, so I'm not going to read it for here. So not only is the awareness of hydrogen cars low, but also the demand is going to be low. So the demand's you're basically saying the demand's low, not just because not just is the awareness of the cars low, but also the demand is going to be low. That's kind of true. I think generally these days people kind of just go for either gas or, if you can afford it, electric. There isn't too much demand out there for hydrogen cars as like the new future as there was in the past, I guess. For some good reasons, though. Sandra says, I'm starting to get more comfortable with the idea of ebooks. I bought one by accident thinking that it was the actual book, and I'm like, okay, this is my life now. Okay, so read this over. This is the sentence. This is it. 수소차는 인지도도 낮으려니와. So not only is the awareness of hydrogen cars low, but also 수요도 낮을 거예요. But also the demand is going to be low too. That is the last sentence for this form. But we're not done with the lesson yet. Thank you for sticking around. This lesson was only about 거니와 or 으려니와, but here are some notes on some other similar forms. In the exact same way that 거니와 was made, by attaching it after a verb stem, you might also see, you probably won't, but you might see this form, 거니. Is this the same form? Well, let's look at it. 거니 is a form that is also archaic, and it's used for confirming something about the past. In fact, the whole part might have been a past tense. Not really sure what it was. But this form is used for saying, yes, that is true. And it adds emphasis to whatever it is that it's used after. So it's, yes, let's point out this thing in the past and let's say, yes, I agree with that. The end. Yes, it is. It was like that. So, does that sound a bit familiar? Does that seem like it could be related to 거니와? Kind of, because 거니와, what does it do? It says, again, it confirms, it agrees with whatever comes before it and then adds extra information. So, something 거니, confirming it. 와, meaning literally just the wa particle we're all familiar with, meaning and. So could this have meant I confirm that and? Actually, possibly, but we don't know. But that could be the actual origin. Could be, again, I'm not claiming it is. It could be the origin of 거니와, but it works in pretty much the same way. So this form you're not going to use, but it works in the same way. But if you see it, now you know what 거니 is. Next form. And we don't need full lessons about all of these. Please do not request me to do full lessons about these. Please understand, I don't want to teach archaic grammar forms that literally nobody uses. I want to teach cool Korean. I'm a cool teacher. I teach real Korean. I don't teach archaic Korean. The next form you might see is 건의 하다. Again, used in the same way. You take a verb stem and you attach 건의 and then you use the verb 하다 after it. This form is used for making a guess or an assumption about something in the past. So you're saying, I assumed or I guessed that something happened, that something was a certain way. So I think so. I guess so. This hada usage actually is still used today. There are some other forms like 갈까 하다 is 생각하다. So this hada is used to mean to think. And there are a few other ways that it can be used like that in modern day forms as well. But you can just think of hada as like to think. So I think, again, 건의, confirming something about the past. Something did happen. Oh, yes, I confirm it happened with emphasis. So I think it happened is what you get. It's just a combination of 건의 with 생각하다, pretty much. So you think or you guess that something, you guess something about a past experience. That's it. Again, we're not going over examples of these because these are archaic. But if you see them, and there's one more. You're not seeing double. This is the form repeated twice, 건의 and 건의. But this doesn't mean you're confirming something about the past twice. It's actually a different form that is used to show that two related verbs are repeating. For example, the verb 밀다, to push something, and the verb 당기다, meaning to pull. You might see 밀거니, 당기거니. So that means something keeps, again, repeating, pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling like that. It's used for things that repeat. You might also see it with coming and going. 오다, to come, and 가다, to go. 오거나 가거나. Sorry, not 거나. 오거니 가거니. 오거나 가거나 is actually modern Korean. You can use that. 오거니 가거니. So like coming and going, like repeating back and forth like that. And there are other verbs you can use it with, but it's typically just going to be related verbs that are repeating. You will also not find this form used often. Again, these are archaic forms, but now you know. So that's every form I could think of that even has this similar form in it. And if you made it this far, that is the lesson for today. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to take a thumbnail image, unless I already got one. Someone said something about a thumbnail already, but I'm just going to take a thumbnail image again. There we go. That's a good thumbnail image. And now, if you didn't hear it in the beginning of the video, I'm going to re-announce. If you already heard it, good. But I'm re-announcing again. I have my newest book is now available. Korean Reading Made Simple 2. It is not the same as Korean Reading Made Simple 1 at all. Korean Reading Made Simple 1 was reading a variety of different types of written materials. So comics, emails, social media posts, a couple short stories that were written in spoken language, and as well as a couple folk tales. But those were, again, very simple, like just short. It was really short snippets that were explained. This one is specifically 10 folk tales that are written in actual real Korean. By that, I mean I didn't use archaic grammar in these folktales. You will find archaic expressions and old grammar and words that nobody uses anymore. If you just pick up a book of Korean folktales in Korea, or any other book will probably have these old words you never actually use. Mine doesn't. Mine's better, right? So mine has only real Korean in it, I guess, if I can say that. It doesn't have archaic stuff. So really simple example is like 99% of Korean folktales, not even Korean, but just all Asian folktales, the main character will be a woodcutter, namukun. The word namukun literally is only used in folktales now. It's never actually a real word, because who is a woodcutter nowadays? For the past 150 years, who is a woodcutter? It used to be a common job. You know, a guy could just be a woodcutter or whatever. I'm just going to cut wood, make money. Yeah, it's not a job anymore. So you don't need the word, but you might see it if you play Age of Empires. You'll hear the word if you listen to like old folktales, but it's not a real word in Korean anymore, because it's, you know, it's just from folktales. So I point that stuff out and I kind of change it where necessary. So you get real Korean, but you also get the real stories. So it has 10 Korean folktales, which I handpicked. These are really cool stories, I think, that are actually fun and culturally important. So I'm not going to read them. I don't want to spoil them. There's one with an imugi in it, which is the creature in Korea that's different than it's not in like China and Japan, but it's like the Korean version of a creature that hasn't yet become, it's like a serpent that hasn't yet become a dragon. And then like how it can become a dragon. And then, you know, one way it can become a dragon is by surviving for 1,000 years. Another way it can become a dragon is by getting a Dragon Ball, essentially, you know, the anime Dragon Ball with the Dragon Balls. That's a concept from, I believe, Hinduism, but it's like a special ball that like grants your wish. But in the Korean folktale, in Korean mythology, it's not. It's just literally a ball that the imugi uses to become a dragon. So there are some differences like that. I also point those differences out in this book. So you get a lot of like cultural aspects together with your Korean stories. And then of course, everything's explained. So as long as you at least have a basic knowledge of Korean grammar, you know how to conjugate verbs, you know how to make basic sentences, you're going to be fine. And all the vocabulary is explained. And yeah, 10 of my favorite Korean folktales now available. Call now. But wait, if you call within the next 5 minutes, we'll throw in this extra bottle of random blue caffeine drink absolutely free. In another life, maybe I was Billy Mays instead of Billy Go. War? What about war? Okay. And then, yeah, some of the interesting things. So while preparing for this book, I've been working on it now for the past, like every day for the past 2 months. And then before that, planning it. But I learned a lot of the Korean stories that are folk tales in Korea have their origins in other countries. And that's okay. But just kind of, I also point that out in here. One of the famous stories in Korea comes from a novel written in Korea in like the early 1900s. There's another famous story that everyone in Korea knows that's originally from a French guy who wrote a book in like 1830s, and it got so popular and spread around. And then in Korea, the story changed. It's for 의 좋은 형제, so like the good-natured brothers, like the happy brothers. Anyway, they're like all these little things, tidbits and stuff I include in here, so you get a lot of extra knowledge you wouldn't get. And I mentioned this in the beginning, but one of my favorite facts is for dokkaebi in Korea. Goblins in Korea, most people kind of have the image of a goblin in Korea as being like, you know, this short character with like a horn or 2 horns sometimes, sharp teeth, you know, like that, and carrying around a sharp club. Like the club is accurate. The club's correct. But the image of a dokkaebi in Korea is not that at all. That's actually known as oni from Japan. And they get confused with each other. I'm not exactly sure why, but Koreans confuse them as well. Dokkaebi are literally just big humans with hair, lots of hair. They dress like commoners. They wear white common clothes that everyone, you know, the regular Koreans would have worn. And they have special powers. They have magical powers. They have a special club they use, but they do not have horns. They do not have sharp teeth or anything like that. And if you saw it, you wouldn't know. The idea is you wouldn't even know if it's a tokebi or a human because they just look like people. So yeah, that's another. Grid asks, do I need Korean Made Simple, Reading Made Simple 1 for book 2? Nope. 0. They are completely separate. And if I make a 3 someday, it'll also be completely separate. This is meant to be the whole thing. You can take this with you into the bathroom for 3 hours. You know, I know those of you who read in the bathroom, it's at least like a 2-hour journey. You can take this with you wherever you go, and just a dictionary. You don't need anything else in order to enjoy these stories. And if there's something that I defined in the first book, I redefined it, sometimes even more simply in this book. So yeah, this is completely self-contained. You don't need anything else to use it. They look like Kongyu. That is actually correct. And most Korean historians get that wrong, but all tokebi actually do look like Kongyu. Yes. Although that's something that us teachers really are uncomfortable to share because it's part of the conspiracy. We can't really hold you in our clutches if we give away too much of what's actually going on. Our Paris 2 asks, are Koreans superstitious? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But then, you know, who isn't, right? Isn't everyone superstitious? To some level? Yeah, I think a lot of people are superstitious. But yeah, Koreans especially, I would say, are very superstitious. Let's see. Moonchild. Okay, so Kumiho. I actually really wanted to include a story about Kumiho in this book. However, So Kumiho are I'll just say they're very violent. So I decided not to include it in the book because I didn't want people to feel like, I didn't want to like scare people or make people uncomfortable when they're learning Korean too much. So I avoided the Kumiho story specifically because of that. I mean, they literally rip out your liver and they eat it. So how can you put that into a folktale? I mean, I have some characters that die, like it's not completely sanitized or anything, but I thought that Kumiho would be a bit much in the end. So I didn't add a story with Kumiho, although I was really sad. I really wanted to. And then ultimately I decided, no, I shouldn't put Kumiho in this book. I want it to be more family friendly so that anyone can learn. But again, it's not like super happy. There's sad stories in here. There's like a little bit of death. The story where the guy turns into a cow is pretty sad. And you're like, wow, that's like serious. Like he gets sold off as a cow and it's like crying and the farmer can't even hear him because it just sounds like a cow and he wants to die. Like all that stuff's in here. But I thought Kumiho was a bit much. So you won't find a story about Kumiho in here, sadly. Yeah, Kumiho eat your liver. That's right. I mean, to be frank, who wouldn't? Your liver is tasty. I'll just say that. I don't understand the people who don't like liver and onions. It's delish. But I do get it tastes like dirt. So you kind of have to be a dirt connoisseur to like liver, to really appreciate it. And I am. Xandria says, also their methods of seduction are not family friendly. Yeah, but even if you don't include anything, it's still quite a violent story. So I didn't include that for several reasons. And then there's there are a few other Korean traditional stories I also didn't include for various reasons, either like a bit graphic or a bit violent. Koreans love their violence. I'll just say that. Like, they're not like, they didn't grow up in a bubble. They have their stories where people, die, violent things happen as well. So, yeah. Let's see. Pushing 40 says, well, that could be my username. I hope this isn't rude. Sorry if it is. What would you say is the thing that makes your first book different than Talk to Me in Korean? You're talking about this first book, Korean Made Simple, the textbook. The textbooks I have are, I'd say not different than Talk to Me in Korean specifically. They're different than everything because they're made as self-study books. Like other books might be created for various purposes. Like some really popular series might be created specifically to be used together with a tutor or to be used together in combination with other resources. My books are made specifically for self-study students. So people who don't have a tutor next to them, people who can't afford classes or can't go to a class, who might not have Korean friends to explain things to them. It assumes that all of your knowledge comes out of the book itself. So it doesn't assume you're going to have already information from other places. So that's what my books kind of do. And I think about that when I'm writing them. This student probably doesn't have someone to ask about this form. So I should make sure I include everything that they need for right now. That's kind of the methodology for writing. And then the other thing I'll say is they're extremely thick and detailed. So the first book even is 350 pages, and the second one and third one are even longer. I think the third one is, hold on, I can check. Yeah, 420 almost. Yeah, the third book is well over 400 pages, so they really don't leave anything out. But and it's not for everyone, though. Not everyone likes that type of studying. You might prefer having something that just kind of gives you the really simplified basics, and then you figure out everything else on your own. Some people prefer that type of studying because it's you can do it faster. Even if you don't learn everything, you can still get into the form really quick. So for those people, this wouldn't be what you'd want. You might want something else that's, just a 1-page explanation of like 10 grammar forms, then you're good. But that's how mine would be different, I would say. Not a rude question. Moonchild says, can you recommend some of those folk tales? I looked through, when I was selecting the folk tales I wanted to use for this book, I looked through a very long list of all Korean folk tales, like the ones that are actually, known by anyone. There was like a list on NamuWiki, which is basically like Korea's Wikipedia. That's like low quality, I'll say. It's like anyone can edit it. If you thought Wikipedia was unreliable, well then, get a taste of NamuWiki. But anyway, it's the Korean version of Wikipedia essentially. But they do have a nice list of like every folktale ever, pretty much like 1,000 or something. I went through all of them, like really, so many of them. And I can read off the ones that I picked, the 10 that I thought were definitely the best. The first one is 호랑이와 곶감. So the tiger and the dried persimmon. This one's like classic. There is not a Korean person who doesn't know this story. It's kind of fun. So there's, again, these are not like copied from other sources. These are rewritten. So these are all new stories. So if you read these, you aren't going to be rereading anything you've already read if you know the story. 도깨비 방망이. So the Goblin Club, which is a funny story. 옹고집전, which is the super, actually, I don't really want to spoil any of these. I'll just say the name. 견우와 직녀, which is actually originally a Chinese story, but in Korea, the story's changed. So Korea's version of the Chinese poem originally, like over 2,000 years old. 소가 된 게으름뱅이, which is another famous one that everyone knows, like the lazy person who became a cow. 의 좋은 형제, which is the story I mentioned from the French guy from like 1800s. 멸치의 꿈, so the anchovy's dream. 호랑이 형님, the tiger brother. And 양반전, which is the chronicle or the story of the 양반, which is like a satirical story that was written to criticize the 양반 social class. And then finally, 산삼과 이무기. So the mountain ginseng and the imugi, which is like the proto-dragon, the serpent before it becomes a dragon. That one's also really cool. You get a bunch of expressions. So even though these are folk tales, practically all the Korean in here is modern usage. So you're still going to learn like stuff you can use today. But again, it's written style Korean. So yeah, if you can read this, you could probably end up reading a lot of other Korean materials as well. So this could be like your gateway into getting into other types of Korean reading. Like if you're interested in, there's a short story you want to read, but you feel kind of intimidated to just grab a Korean short story in a dictionary and start, you might try something like this first. And then after you kind of get a feel for how it works, then you can transition to other sorts of reading materials. Okay. Xandria says Korean horror Rex. Yeah. I like 신비 아파트. They have a lot of Korean ghosts and horror things in it. It's not scary, but it's like a kid's cartoon that's made in Korea. Shinbi's Apartment. It's pretty popular. I mean, it's not that entertaining because it's really made for kids. It's like a kid's version of Scooby-Doo. Or maybe it's like Pokemon. Not really sure how to explain. Anyway, it's really for kids. My kid used to love it, but doesn't like it as much anymore nowadays. But yeah, that was really popular. But my personal favorite for horror stuff is actually a podcast they have on Naver Audio Clip, which is like a podcast service in Korea. They have a web version, or they have an app. Again, Naver Audio Clip. I'm not getting paid by them. I wish. But they have some horror podcasts in there, and some of them are like professionally produced with like really, good voice actors and everything and sound effects. It feels like a real radio show, and they have like hundreds of episodes. So that's actually what I listen to. I listen to every single one of those episodes on that horror podcast. Both, actually, there are like 2 or 3. I listened to all of them during back with COVID when that was started. I couldn't go out, couldn't do anything, so except work on my beginner course at the time. So while I was working on that, I would listen to those in the background. Those were great. Any other questions? We'll do a few more questions for today. I know it's an advanced lesson, so we get fewer viewers than we normally do, but that's okay. That just means you have more of a chance to get your question answered today than on any other live stream. Oh, Nightshade. So you're wondering about the form tapsigo. I have a whole live stream about that. Because the tapsigo transforms that verb's usage of 예쁘다. So I have actually, that's not one of my sentences. Hold on. No. Okay. I did a live stream about Hapsigu back in February 27th, 2022. And that's used to a quoting form. So you can think of it as like 이라고 하다, says something, 말하다. So it changes it into like a speaking form. Like someone says something is something. Oh yeah, that is my sentence. That's my sentence. So the sentence you just gave, Nightshade. How did you get that from my sentence but not find the live stream? Yeah, that's one of my sentences. Okay, it says from your video. Yeah, I'm like, that's from my video. Watch the whole live stream though, because I explained that. How it means you're like saying something is, you're calling something something. Twigzor says, will I be able to follow along after finishing the 100 lesson beginner course? If you're talking about the Korean reading made simple, yes, you would. Paris Stew says, I realized I shouldn't write Korean text in red because I think they don't like it. That's true. Red is not used in South Korea because it kind of is like death. Like you might write the name of people who've passed away in red. It's not used for someone who's living. It would be very rude if they saw it. Now, if you're writing it in your house by yourself and no one's going to see it and you only have a red pen left, who cares? But if you're going to be showing that to someone else, you don't want to have people's names written. Red typically is nowadays just used for making corrections. So like writing, this is wrong, here's the answer, or writing notes or something, but not for like composing an entire paper. Zandria says, I wonder if there's a kind of ghost story that doesn't go over well in Korea. Can they talk about relatives coming back like to haunt you, or is that not acceptable? I'm trying to, right, while I was reading that, I was trying to think, is there a story like that that comes to mind? No, because they say that your relatives actually help you. Hold on, let me just double check this before I teach it. Yeah. I just wanted to double check it's not part of the lesson. 조상 is your ancestors, so 님 is just to make it polite. Your ancestors, 도와주시다, to help. So 도와주셨다 or 도와주셨어요, you can conjugate this. 도와주셨습니다. So literally my ancestors helped me is an expression that they use in Korea to mean this. Oops, spelled it wrong. I dodged a bullet. You say 조상님이 도와주셨다 or 조상님이 도와주셨어요. My relatives, they really had my back. They helped me out. I dodged a bullet. So that you can use that in any situation where you would say you dodged a bullet as your ancestors help you out. So they believe that they help you, not that they're coming back to haunt you. So I'm not sure if there is a story where they do. I can't think of any, but you would have to ask a Korean about that if there's a story that they know of like their own ancestors coming back to haunt them for something. Nowadays, if someone says that your ancestors are disappointed in you or angry at you, it's going to be a cult. So just keep that in mind. If you hear someone talk about something like that, like ancestors being upset at you, careful what they're saying. They might be a member of a cult, because that's a common thing that that specific religion would use, is saying that sort of expression. Hope Gate says, I'm using up all my 4 color pens until the end, so I spend weeks writing exclusively in red and green. I understand you. I also like using my pens until the very end, so I'll keep, like, it's broken, the pen's totally broken, but it still writes. I'll keep using it until it runs out of ink, and then I'll throw it out and switch pens. I have these in green color, but I don't use them for obvious reasons. But I still will use it. I'll just kind of keep it at the bottom of the board if I'm using it. But yeah, so I get you. It's a waste. Like, just because it's red and people don't like it doesn't mean I should waste this perfectly good red pen. I'm just going to use it when no one can see me. Aniki says, I found that the 관하다. Yeah, 관련하다 is the same as 관하다. Related to, about. Typically, though, you use 관해서 as like its own form, but you could swap it. But if you swap it, it has more of a literal meaning. Not like, it's a book on science, but now it sounds like you're saying it's a book that's that's related to science, or that is about the topic of science. You can swap it, but you just change the nuance. Let's see. First, Xandria Water says, I wouldn't trust my family even and perhaps especially in the afterlife. All right. Well, that's okay. They're not Koreans. So SQ8MXT asks, what does janni mean? That is simply 지않니. Is it not? Isn't it? Ain't it? Like that. Because the 잖아 form originally comes from this. 지않아, 잖아. 지않아, 지않아, 잖아, 잖아, 잖아요. So 잖니 is just this. 잖니. Like, isn't it that? Ain't it that? Grid asks a question about sound change rules. I'll just take a couple more questions for today and then we'll go. So if you have any other quick questions, feel free to ask. Is there one trick to keep in mind when trying to remember when sound change rules happen? Or when to sound change something? Yeah, there is. Say the word out loud yourself, one syllable at a time. So I'll show you what I mean. You don't know a sound change rule, or you can't remember, so you want to read the word. So first say the word out loud, one syllable at a time. It actually is pronounced as 한국말, but you don't know that. 한국말, 한국말, 한국말. Try to say it now together as one word without stopping. So try to say it as one sound without stopping in between. 한국. Okay, I could do that. 한국말. 구구? You get 구구 right here, right? 한국말. 한국말. What could I do to make it possible to stick it together? Well, I could kind of make it an NG sound. 한국말. It becomes like that. And now you're kind of there. You've got 한국말, 한국말, right? Now relax your mouth when you say it and try to push it together. Try to push it as one sound with your mouth relaxed. 한국말, 한국말. You're still thinking 한국, but now it comes out as 한국말, 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 한국말. The way that sound change rules were created in the first place is just because that's how people naturally say these sounds, more relaxed, more easily. You don't want to be stressing all the time when you're speaking Korean. 저는 한국말을 좋아합니다. You're not going to be stressing when you're speaking. You're going to be saying it natural and relaxed. And these sound change rules occur just because it's easier to say them that way. Now, there are a couple exceptions that aren't as intuitive, but pretty much for the most part, they all do this. They all are how you would naturally relaxed say a word. And if you try that, it might help you to remember. If you can't get there, if you still say, 한국말 sounds okay, 한국말, okay, at least you can feel that there's some sort of tension when you get to this part. And that should tell you, oh, maybe there's a sound change rule for this. Oh, I remember, there is. And then you can add it in. But the way that they all came about is exactly what I'm showing you. It's easier to say it that way. No one's going to say the word as the full word. And it's not just this word or this rule. I just picked this as one. I've just cherry picked this one example. Everything. Give me another word and I'll show you exactly how it works in the same way. Try it. Just read the word out loud. Try to say it again a little faster. Then try to say it at that same speed but relaxed. And notice where you can't say it relaxed. And then try to smooth it out. And then look up the sound change rule for where you had trouble and check, did I do it correctly? You probably did. As long as you're saying everything kind of accurately, you're not saying bengalmal, you're saying the right sounds correctly, then yeah, you're going to come to the same conclusion as with the sound change rule regardless. But if you're saying the word incorrectly, like if you're saying the here as a strong H, it's not an H, it's just extra air. That's all it is. It's not H, it's that's it. So that disappears completely in some cases, like this word, pak, ha. You only hear the ha at the beginning of a word. When it's in a word, it's just sound. So pak, ha, pak, ha. So this sound actually becomes pak, ha. Pak, ha desu ne. Pak, ha. Because it's just the sound. So as long as you're saying the letters in the first place kind of accurately, you'll get there regardless. You don't actually necessarily have to have those sound change rules memorized. Aniki says the tricky words like gonip are not that intuitive. Well, yeah, because that's a specific rule where the actual rule doesn't explain the usages of all of them. People simply add in that extra sound, even though it originally wouldn't be there. And I'll show you, like you have, I'm not sure if this is the best example to give you, because you'd have to know it already isn't this. It actually isn't this. This is an example where they do it, but it's not supposed to. Originally, that rule would have been because words that had their letters started with nian or lir would have them get removed. So you're left with words that are now spelt as if they never had it in the first place, but they're still pronounced the way that they originally would have been spelled. This is really complicated. I'm sorry. If you're interested in this, look up something called 두음법칙. I actually have a video about it. But this rule started having words be written with an easier to pronounce sound at the beginning. So, for example, the word 여자, the character. Hold on. You think of this one. Wait, I'm close. I'm so close. There we go. Okay. I knew that one. I can read it, but I'm not that good at writing. I'm pretty good at reading though. Yo. But actually this one's not yo. This one's yo. But at the beginning of a word, it becomes yo. And that has to do with 두음법칙. I'm not going to go into that. But if you read it after another word, it still should be 뇨, but it tends to get written as 요 anyway, so much that, people might still apply that sound change rule even regardless. So you get that kind of with that word you just gave, 꽃잎. And they add in the extra nian to it, even if it wasn't originally there. They do that sometimes, like for Seoul Station. I'm sorry, this though would have to be a whole separate lesson because 두음법칙 alone would be like a 10-minute lesson. So I'll just say 두음법칙 if you're interested. But as you said though, yeah, those are not intuitive because the reason people do it is because they think it's supposed to have that letter there, even if it doesn't. So they tend to add it in situations where it originally didn't even need it in the first place. Like, oh, I think this word did this, so therefore this one should do that too. Well, I'll do it here. And then sometimes you end up with situations where there are two ways to pronounce something. Like there are actually two correct ways to pronounce 옷 입다, to wear clothes, or 옷을 입다. But if you say it as 옷 입다, you could either read it as 옷, sound change rule, 옷 입다, 옷 입다. So you get 옷 입, right? 옷 입다. Or with that sound change rule you're talking about, you can have it as 옷 입다. And they're both correct. 옷 입어, 옷 입어. Both are perfectly fine. They both sound okay. It just depends if you're going to add that rule. But like I said, you don't have to add the rule because it's not. It's just people just started saying it that way and it kind of stuck. Okay, let's see. Xandria says, I've been skipping the kiuk in like that altogether. Are my ancestors going to punish me? Yes, they will. Okay, next question. Let's see. Stella's mom says, the exception to this is the dojang, which uses red ink. Yes, that for your own name, for official purposes, yes, you would use a red ink dojang for that. But for writing the name of someone else, no, you would never do that. Like you're not going to stamp someone else's name though anyway. It's always your own name. Boom. Kind of like to signify blood. Okay, any other last questions quick for this lesson? Hopefully you enjoyed the lesson today. We did a lot of stuff. We covered 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 forms technically, although the main one today was konniwa. And even if you're a beginner, out there and you're watching the lesson on konniwa, let me know. Do you kind of understand it? Do you feel like you'll recognize konniwa when you see it? If you can, then that's good enough. SQ8MXT. Oh, wait, hold on. We have a comment. 외국인 상대로 한국어 가르치는 공부하고 있는 사람인데요. Oh, really? 정말 알찬 수업이고 좋은 선생님이십니다. Oh, thank you. 듣고 있으니 도움됩니다. 성준님 감사합니다. Aniki. Oh, a member. Okay. I feel like most of the spun change rules. What's a spun change rule? They come natural. I've been saying 그럼요, without even realizing. Yeah, there you go. Val says, I just joined the live. I missed it all. No, you didn't miss it. It'll be up on my channel forever. And you can also watch the abridged version of this live stream tonight if you are a channel member. Let's see. Check here. Kiki Like Kimchi wrote, how often do you do these lessons? Normally every week, but this next week is not a live stream. So next Sunday is not, but normally every other Sunday. And then, yeah, 2 in a row and then 1 off. Again, if you're just joining, brand new book. If you've already seen this 3 times, I do not apologize. I literally just released it like 3 days ago. So I'm going to show it a bunch for today, and then you'll never see it again until I show it next time. But yeah, brand new book just came out. Korean Reading Made Simple 2 with 10 natural Korean folktales. So all useful Korean. It's all of the good traditional folktale stuff. None of the bad archaic grammar and expression stuff. So you get the best of both worlds. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐!